Good morning, dear students. Today, again I would like to welcome to the 8th class students for this session of English 2. And today we will discuss a chapter which we have been continuing, that is relative pronouns and its exercise 14. And before going to discuss about them, let's have Brahmanath for better concentration. Please sit Siddha with Dhyan Mudra and have Brahmanath. Om. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Relax. Okay, dear students, let me again welcome you to this class. Today we will discuss about exercise 14 of 8th English 2. And before going to discuss this exercise 14, since we have been a long distance in discussion of the classes, we have lot of spaces in a week. So let me revise the previous discussion briefly and we will proceed with exercise 14. Okay, so for that, to revise the previous classes about relative pronouns, let me write something on the board so that you can recall and better understand the exercise 14. Okay, as I have told you that before going to discuss about this exercise 14, let us recall our past discussions. As I have told you in our previous classes that we have been using some relative pronouns. Relative pronouns, as I have told you, some words which are functioning as relatives, that means links, or functioning as conjunctions between two sentences, as well as functioning as a pronoun. Therefore, they are called relative pronouns. We say it is a pronoun because it is used in place of a noun or a pronoun. Instead, therefore, we say it is a pronoun. And for that, last class we discussed for persons, we use who as a subject, whom as an object, and whose is its possessive case. Similarly, when we use for animals, we use which or that as a subject, which or that as an object, whose or of which also an object. You see, here the word that plays very important role. That you can say is everything. We can use that for persons as a subject as well as a object. Understand? So you should understand this carefully, and that plays a very important role. That is an important relative pronoun. It can be substituted with persons, things, animals as subjects as well as objects. Okay, so therefore let's understand some examples I have given over here. You just see. See, the man who robbed you has been arrested. Here you see, the man robbed you. The man has been arrested. So here we are using the man as a person. So in place of this man we used who. So the man who robbed you has been arrested. So we used who as a subject. Similarly, let's say this is person, that is why we used who. Similarly, she is the girl. Girl is also a person whom he wants to marry. She is the girl. He wants to marry her. Her means here her is used as an object. Therefore, in place of though the girl is used as an object, we have used whom. So she is the girl whom he wants to marry. Next is what? This is a person also. The film is not a person, it is a thing. So the film is about a man. The film is about a man. Man is the person whose wife betrays him. So a man, his wife betrays him. That means in place of his, we have used whose as a possessive. So whose wife betrays him. Similarly, the movement means it is a point of time. So it is not a person. For that we have used which. The movement which is lost forever. Okay. Similarly, this is the boy. Here we are talking about the person. This is the boy. We can use who I told you of. This is the boy who I told you of. If we use this of before who, it can be whom, as the rule we have discussed earlier. That we will again revise for briefly so that you can better understand. So here you see we can use that as well. So this is the boy that I told you of. So here you see in place of who we can also use that. It's a subject we have used over here. That is a very important relative pronoun. Okay. So similarly, the girls whom, to them, the girls whom or that he employed the girls, they were not honest. Two sentences. So here, they means they are talking about the object. So therefore, we have used whom. The girls whom he employed were not honest. We can also write the girls that he employed were not honest. You see, in place of who also we used that, in place of whom also we used that. And normally that can also be used substituting with for persons and things. And what more things we discussed in our previous classes, let's understand briefly about them. Okay? See, when we are discussing about the relative pronouns, let's discuss about first the use of who and whom. We know that we use who for persons as a subject and whom for persons as an object, because sometimes we can use who in place of whom as well. Because in spoken English, in normal English, we use only who in place of whom. But we can use whom if it is a very formal English that I have already told you. Here you see, when we are talking about the use of who as a subject, we use that in two ways. That means while we are combining sentences, when we combine two sentences, and we take the second sentence and add with the first sentence using a relative pronoun. But in type 2, we take the first sentence and add in the second sentence using a relative pronoun. That's the only difference. The example given over here. You see, this is a sentence. I know a man. Is one sentence. The man has been to Iceland. So what we did here, this man is here. Here is also the man. So this man in the second sentence is used as a subject. So in this place we can use who. So what we will do? I know the man. I know a man who has been to Iceland. So what we will do? I know a man. Instead of writing this, we can make one sentence. Who has been to Iceland, because here the who in the second sentence was functioning as a subject. So similarly, here you see the next sentence. Here is the doctor. This is one sentence. The doctor cured me of malaria. Who cured me? The doctor cured me. Here the doctor is also used as a subject in the second sentence. So instead of this doctor, we can use only who. He is the doctor who cured me of malaria. We used who because doctor is a person, and here the doctor in the next sentence was used as a subject. So here it is functioning as a relative between the two sentences and functioning as a pronoun because we used it in place of a noun. So similarly, in the first two, 1 and 2, we combine two sentences by taking the second sentence and added with the first sentence using the relative pronoun to make the link between the two sentences. Okay? Because as they are the subjects, we used who for them. Similarly, you see in type 2 sentence, the thief stole the watch. Who stole the watch? The thief stole the watch. The thief was punished. Who was punished? The thief was punished. So here what happened? We added the second sentence with the first sentence in type 1. Now the first sentence we will add with the type 2. So what we will write? The thief. Here in place of this we can use who. The thief who stole the watch was punished. What we will write? The thief. Here the sentence will be, the combination will be, the thief who stole the watch has been punished. The thief who stole the watch has been punished. Similarly, he does his best. Who does his best? He does his best. He should be praised. Who should be praised? He should be praised. So what we will do? Here we will take the first sentence and add with the second sentence. Here what we will take? Who? He who does his best should be praised. He who does the best should be praised. That means we took the first sentence and used the relative pronoun like this and added with the second sentence. This is the only difference between the type 1 and the type 2. Okay, let's write some examples how we are using who and whom as an object. Okay, let's write this. Here you see we have two different examples. Here what happens, we will understand how we are using whom for persons as an object. But we use whom for persons as an object. But in normal English, in day-to-day interactions, we don't use whom as an object. But in place of whom, we use who. But sometimes we can either use who or whom. If there is a preposition before this whom, then that must be whom. If no preposition, we can either use who or whom. But whom is used for formal English, not in spoken English. Therefore, in place of whom, we can use who. Here you see two sentences given. So, the man is deaf. Who is deaf? The man is deaf. And in next sentence, you spoke to him. Here him means who? Means the man. So him, though it is an object, in place of him, we can use whom as a rule because it is an object. So again, here is a preposition used before it. So therefore we can use to whom. What do we do? The man whom, that means to whom you spoke, to whom you spoke is deaf. Here you see, the man to whom you spoke is deaf. So here you see, before this whom we have used to. So to whom over here. So what we will do? We can, in place of this to whom, we can use who. And we take to after this spoke. We can write the man who you spoke to is deaf. Understand? But if we use this preposition before who, then it should be whom. Okay? Understand? Similarly, the boy bowls very well. Who bowls very well? The boy bowls very well. Here you see him there. Him means Here it is an object, it is used. For that we can use whom. The boy whom you see there bowls very well. So what it will be the sentence? The boy whom you see there bowls very well. You see, here we have used whom because it is we are referring an object, a person. But though I have told you, we cannot use whom, we can use who in place of whom, because whom is for formal English. Here, no preposition is there, therefore we can easily change it. So we can use the boy who you see there bowls very well. Understand? So this is how this who is functioning as a link or a relative between two sentences, but it is substituting a noun or a pronoun, therefore it is called relative pronoun. Here this him is substituting the man, therefore it is used as a pronoun as well as a relative, and therefore we say it is a relative pronoun. Let's discuss the exercise 12, exercise 14 right now. Okay? See, your exercise 14 has been divided into three different divisions like A, B and C. There are three different groups of questions given to combine the sentences. Now we are discussing the A section. In A section we have 10 different pairs of sentences which we will combine. Let's say some of the sentences of group A, let's discuss where we will take the second sentence and add with the first sentence using a relative pronoun. Here the question is combine the following pairs of sentences using a relative pronoun. Here we will combine, here in A, number 1, we have two sentences given. Number 1 is what? I met a boy. The boy was very courageous. Here the boy, here is also the boy. This place the boy is a noun. In place of this noun, though it is used as a subject, we can use who. What we will write? We will take this entire sentence and add over here. So what we will do? The man, I met a boy who was very courageous. I met a boy who was very courageous. Okay? Similarly, the dog beat the burglar. Who beat the burglar? Dog beat the burglar. Who did bite the burglar means the dog beat the burglar. Okay, here the burglar had been broken into the house. Who had been broken into the house? The burglar. We are talking about this burglar. And here the burglar, the same person. We can use this for this is a person and used as a subject. So we can use who for this and take the entire sentence and write over here. We are taking the second sentence and adding with the first sentence using a relative pronoun. If the relative pronoun is a person, we are using who as a subject. Okay, here it is a subject. So what will we write? The dog beat the burglar who had broken into the house. The dog beat the burglar who had broken into the house. Similarly, we met a girl. The girl had lost her way. In this girl, we can use who as a pronoun and we will add over here to make the relative. So it will be a relative pronoun. We met a girl who had lost her way. We met a girl who had lost her way. We just combined like this. Let's write. You understood? now we are taking the first sentence and combining with the we are taking the second sentence and combining with the first sentence, making a simple sentence using a relative pronoun, making a sentence not relative, not a simple sentence. We make single sentence by using a relative pronoun. It functions as a relative as well as a pronoun. Let's understand some other such statements. Here you see, I have written some other some pairs of sentences which you will combine as we combined in the earlier examples. Here, the number 4 is the same thing. We will take the second sentence and add with the first sentence using a relative pronoun. I know the man. He means the man stole your bicycle. So what we will use? We will use, this is a subject, so we can use in place of he, we can use who. So what we will do? I know the man who stole your bicycle. Understand? I know the man who stole your bicycle. Like this. Similarly, I saw a soldier, a person. He means soldier. That means it is a subject, so we used who over here. I saw a soldier who had lost an arm. So we have to only add who had lost an arm. Understand? Like such we can add. Similarly, I saw a girl. She was singing. Who was singing? She. Who is she? She is the girl. So here, though it is a person, we can use who over here again. I saw the girl who was singing. I saw the girl who was singing. Similarly, what we can do? I met my uncle. Uncle is a person. Who met? I met. He, this uncle. Here is a he. Who is he? This uncle. So, it is a person. So, we can use who over here. I met my uncle who had just arrived. Who had just arrived. Understand? Now we are understanding how we are taking the second sentence using a relative pronoun and combine with the first sentence. Let's understand some other examples available in A. Okay? See, here are some other examples of part A. So, you see where we are adding the second sentence with the first sentence using a relative pronoun as far as who is concerned. Okay? So, now I know a man. Here is the man is a person. He has just, he has a wooden leg, whose leg is made of wood. Okay? So, what we will do? Here he, therefore used as a subject we can use who. So, I know a man who had a wooden leg. Wooden leg. We can write like this. I know a man who had a wooden leg. We added this. He has a friend. The friend is a clever artist. So, this is the friend is also a person used as a subject. Therefore, we can use who. What we will use? He has a friend who is a clever artist. Who is a clever artist. We can write like this. Okay? So similarly, I met Mohan. He. Who is he? He is Mohan. I met Mohan. He had just returned from Delhi. So in place of he, we can use who? So I met Mohan who had just returned from Delhi. Okay? I met Mohan who had just returned from Delhi. Understand? Now in this part A, we discussed 10 different pairs of sentences that we combined using a relative pronoun by taking the second sentence and added with the first sentence using a relative pronoun. Let's discuss the part B, and there what is happening, whether we are taking the first sentence and adding with the second sentence as per the type 2 rule. Okay, let me write. Here you see, now we are discussing this section B of exercise 14. Here also we will combine the pair of sentences using a relative pronoun. So some of the pair of sentences have been given over here. We can either take the second sentence and add with the first sentence, or first sentence or add. Now let's see how we can combine them, either or. Okay, so here you see, the man is honest. Who is honest? Man is honest. The man is trusted. So, who is trusted? The man is trusted. So here we can take both of them. So we can take the first sentence and add over here. What do we do? The man, here the man who is honest is trusted. The man who is honest, because for this, the man who is honest is trusted. Understand? The man who is honest is trusted. Okay, similarly, Wellington was a great general. Who was a great general? Wellington. He defeated Napoleon at the Battle of Waterloo. Who defeated Napoleon Bonaparte? Wellington. So here, what we will do? We will take this second sentence and add with the first sentence. Wellington who defeated Napoleon at the Battle of Waterloo, who defeated Napoleon at the Battle of Waterloo, was a great general. You see, we have taken the second sentence and added inside the first sentence with using a relative pronoun. Wellington, who defeated Napoleon at the Battle of Waterloo, was a great general. So the entire sentence with the relative pronoun we took and write after this line. Okay? So similarly, you see, Kalidas was a great poet. Who was a great poet? Kalidas. He wrote some fine dramas. Who wrote? Kalidas wrote. Kalidas, he means here Kalidas. So what we will do, in place of he, we can make who as a pronoun, and we will take over here Kalidas, who wrote some fine dramas, was a great poet. What we will write? Kalidas, who wrote some fine dramas, was a great poet. Was a great poet. So here we took the entire sentence with the relative pronoun and added after this Kalidas. So you cannot understand this. This is what we say the relative clause. Here is a relative clause. We are not discussing relative clause because relative clause we have to understand in other level of understanding relative pronouns. So, but I am not telling you about relative clauses right now. We just adding or combining two sentences using a relative pronoun. Here we are using who because we are combining them as a subject. Understand? So here we have taken everyone is the subject and persons, therefore we have used who. Understand? So let's write some other examples and discuss on them, solve them. See, I have written some other pairs of sentences of your group B of your exercise 14. Let's discuss about that. How we are adding, combining using a relative pronoun as we discussed previously. This is number 4. The child is dead. Who is dead? Child is dead. The child came here yesterday. The same child. So here the child is used as a subject, therefore we can use who. So we will take the entire sentence and write after the child. So what we will do? The child who came here yesterday is dead. The child who came here yesterday is dead. Similarly, Karim is very idle. Karim is very idle. He was punished. Who was punished? He means who? Is Karim. So the Karim who was punished, here what we will do? We will take the entire sentence and write after Karim. So Karim who was punished is very idle. Karim who was punished is very idle. Understand? Similarly, next, the boys clapped heartily. The boys clapped heartily. And they were watching the match. Who were watching the match? Who are they? The boys. Therefore, we are using in a position like this. You understood, you can recall this. So, they means used as a subject, so we can use who for them. So, the boys who were watching the match, the boys who were watching the match, the boys, here what we will write? The boys who were watching the match, clapped happily, The boys who were watching the match, clapped happily. Understand? So, this is how we are combining by taking the entire sentence and writing after the noun phrase. Okay? So, when you will go to higher classes, when you will understand about relative clauses, you will understand that when a subordinate clause used after the noun phrase and functions as an adjective is called a noun clause. That you will understand in higher classes, that we are not analyzing them, that will be confusing. Therefore, you understand the way we are discussing like this. So, the boys who were watching the match clapped happily. Let's write other such pairs of sentences of this group. Okay? Again, some other pairs of sentences of group B we have written over here. Let's understand them. Okay, here you see the boy felt very proud. Who felt boy? Here he had won the prize. So who had won the prize felt very proud. So what do we write? The boy who had won the prize, felt very proud. The boy who had won the prize felt very proud. Similarly, the man is a postman. The man is delivering the letters. So here is the man. We can use who for this? The man who is delivering the letters is a postman. The man who is delivering the letters is a postman. The man who is delivering the letters is a postman. Similarly, the man is a doctor. He has come next year. He has means who has? The man. The man who has come next door is a doctor. So what do we write? The man who has come next door is a doctor. The man who has come next door is a doctor. The man who has come next door is a doctor. So after this man, we are using this entire sentence. Okay? Then we are writing is a doctor. Understand? Similarly, boys take long walks. Who take? Boys take. They are generally healthy. So what we will write? Boys who are generally healthy take long walks. Boys who are generally healthy take long walks. Understand? So here we have taken the entire sentence and used a relative pronoun and added after the noun phrase of the first sentences. First sentence. Okay? In all those pairs of sentences we understand of your section B of exercise 14. Let's understand some examples of section C. Okay? Let's write. Now, let us discuss the C section of your exercise 14. So, in this C section, we are going to discuss about how we are using relative pronouns as an object. Understand? So, in the previous examples, we understood how we used the relative pronouns as a subject, but here it is for the object. That means when we are using for objects, we use whom for persons. Now, these are for persons. Let's understand how we are using who or whom in place of them in accordance to the rules we understood. Let's understand. My mother is dead. My mother is dead. I loved my mother. Here you see, here this my mother is functioning as an object. So, my object means it is a person. For that what we will use who, whom or who. Normally we use whom because it is an object, but it is for formal English. In place of whom we can also use who. So what we will do? My mother whom I loved. My mother, here is the my mother, whom, here this is for whom, we can use whom or who I loved, I loved is dead. So, according to rule, we can use whom or who because whom is for formal English. So, here only we can use who I loved is dead. My mother, who I loved is dead. Also, we can write whom because whom is for formal English. Therefore, we use who in place of who. Similarly, the teacher sent for the boy. Whom did the teacher send for? The boy. Is used as an object. The boy came at once. So here we can use whom. For is there. Therefore we can use whom. So we will write the entire sentence. We will take this whom to the beginning and add over here. What we will write? The boy. This is the boy. Who, for whom the teacher, the boy for whom the teacher sent for the whom the teacher sent for came at once. The boy whom the teacher sent for. This means the boy, here it is object, therefore we used whom, but instead of this whom, we can use who. We can use whom or who but if it is a preposition, we can write whom. But here, then normally we can use who. The boy who the teacher sent for came at once. Understand? Similarly, he is a rock. He is a rock. That means rock means adamant. Okay? Clear? So he is a rock. No one trusts him. Here he means who is him? This is a he. So it is an object. For that we can use whom as an object, but we can use who for this in place of whom. So what we will write? He who no one trusts. That means whom or who no one trusts is a rock. He who no one trusts, he whom no one trusts we can write. In place of whom we can write who. He who no one trusts is a rock. Understand? So this is what we discussed and combined the sentences using an object. That means who. In place of who we can write whom. Let's write some other examples, other pair of sentences of this. Here we see the child is dead. Who is dead? The child is dead. I saw the child yesterday. Here the child is an object. It is an object. For that we can use whom. So we will take this whom and bring over here. That means whom I saw yesterday. The child whom I saw yesterday is dead. The child whom I saw yesterday is dead. So as per the rule, in place of whom we can use who. Understand? The child who I saw yesterday is dead. The child who I saw yesterday is dead. But we should have written whom because we are using an object. But in place of whom we can use who in accordance to the rule. Therefore, we have written who over here. So next, that boy is my cousin. Who is my cousin? That boy. You see him there. He means that boy used as an object. So here we can use whom because it is an object. So that boy whom you see there is my cousin. So here the boy whom you see there is my cousin. So here you see whom we have used because it is an object, but in place of whom we can also use who. It is in spoken English. The boy who you see there is my cousin. Similarly, the ladies have arrived. The ladies, subject. I saw speaking of them. I was speaking of them. Here them means is an object. So for that we can use whom. So the ladies of whom, here is a preposition. So if there is a preposition before the relative clause, a relative pronoun, that must be whom in place of who. So what we will do? The ladies of whom I was speaking have arrived. The ladies of whom I was speaking have arrived. Okay, so here we can write whom because there is a preposition. If we want to make it who, then we have to take this preposition from here and write after the verb. Speaking of, then we can make it who. So the ladies who I was speaking of have arrived. Understand? Okay? So if preposition will be here, then it must be who. If we will take the preposition somewhere else after the verb, then it can be who. Understand? Let's understand some other such pairs to combine using a relative pronoun from section C. Okay? Here you see, I have written another two pairs of sentences. Here are a little contradictions. You see, we took the patient to the hospital. Whom did we take to the hospital? The patient. Here patient is an object. So therefore we can use whom. We took the patient to the hospital. The patient has died. Here what we will take? We will take the first sentence and add with the second sentence. So for this patient we can use whom. So this whom we will take over here to the beginning of the sentence. So what will be? The patient whom we took to the hospital. The patient whom we took to the hospital has died. We took the first sentence and added with the second sentence. The patient whom we took to the hospital has died. Like, similarly, my sister married a famous doctor. Whom did my sister marry? A famous doctor. So, you know that doctor. Here this doctor is an object. We can have, this is an object. Therefore, we can use whom. See, here is used whom. But in place of this whom also, we can use who or whom. But who in accordance to the rules. So here see, my sister married a famous doctor. The doctor is object. That means whom? You know. My sister married a famous doctor. A famous doctor. Though it is object, so we can use whom? You know. But we can use whom. But in place of whom, we can also use who. My sister married a famous doctor who you know. Normally it should be whom, because we are referring an object of a person. So therefore we should use whom over here. But in place of whom, we can use who according to the rule. So today we understood the entire exercise 14. And you are clear. If you have any problem, you can call me back personally with my number, you know. And I have sent this exercise with the earlier videos, the previous video. You can go through and write these answers in your exercise notebook. That means English to notebook. And in next class, we will understand how that and which are functioning as subjects as well as objects for animals and things. But sometimes we also use that for persons as well. That discussion will be in our next class about the relative pronoun. Okay, so for today only this much.